And we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another BP TV here on a Sunday. Merry Christmas to all of you. Happy holidays. Maybe you don't celebrate Christmas. Hopefully you're getting to hang out with your family and stay healthy as well, eating all the food you want to eat, but then also maybe training if you can. Actually, technically right now, I am locked down. I'm in isolation because unfortunately, my business partner and better half Joey has COVID. Bum bum bum, and we didn't know until it was actually Wednesday, and we were doing the podcast, and he didn't have symptoms, but man, that's what you get when you're a close contact. So anyway, I did the at-home test. I did the rapid antigen test. It came back negative. I'm waiting for my PRC test to come back. I feel good. I don't have any symptoms, so to speak. So here we are doing the thing, but I'm stuck at home. Plans were canceled. No Christmas lunch with my family. I'm at home with my partner, Ola, my lovely partner. But it was still good. It was still chill. So I hope that you guys have had a good time. And we are getting into the standards, the bulletproof standards. Now, I really hope that comments work this time. Please feel free to shoot me a comment and ask some questions because lots of people have been sending us a lot of feedback. I sent out email and I had a lot of auto email responders, not in office, back in the new year. But then I also had some people hit me back and say they're looking forward to it. So I wanted to take this episode today to really go in depth, explain why, how we did it, and how you can use it to really know where you're at and get way stronger and also far more mobile. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's do this. Okay, the standards. So I've been thinking about this for a long time, actually, and this is something that Joey and I have been cooking up. Because when I did Taekwondo, at each belt level, when you graded, you had to have a certain level of fitness, right? You had to do a certain number of push-ups, certain number of sit-ups. Yes. Look, he's fingers crossed. Thank you, Steve. Thank you for leaving your comment. Joey's okay. I mean, he's at home. He's well attended. He's just hanging out with his baby and his partner, Misa, and I think he's okay. I mean, we've been messaging every day. He's just got a bad cold. So, I'm not playing down COVID. I'm just saying he's dealing with it quite well. So thank you for your concern. And I am A-okay. Anyway, my immune system is stronger. It's the beard. It's definitely the beard. Guys, there was a grading system for fitness. When I did Taekwondo, you had to do a certain amount of rounds. You had to do a certain amount of time in a plank, certain amount of time in a horse stance. Like in every belt, the gradings got longer and harder. So by the time you hit black belt, you had to have a certain level of physical proficiency. Now, obviously in jiu-jitsu, we don't, you have to be better at jiu-jitsu as you go up the belts, but every school is different. And it had occurred to me that when I first started jiu-jitsu, nothing was standardized. Everything was different between schools. So one school had a really strict syllabus. Another school might have also no syllabus at all. They just graded you on your ability to compete in competitions and win. And if you beat everybody at your belt level, at a state level, at a national level, and if you competed internationally and you were to get on the podium there, then your coach would go, okay, you're one of the best in the world. I will grade you to your next belt. But when it comes to strength and flexibility / mobility, there was no real standardized approach. And don't get me wrong, we all derive a certain amount of knowledge from different people. But Joe and I have been working on this idea since we began, which is trying to give you a way for you to be able to understand where you're at now and then give you something to shoot for. So we looked at our own capacity and also where we aspire to be, and we set the bar pretty high. And we were looking at what is the best balance of strength and mobility, because it isn't good enough for you to just be ultra strong. Yes, there is a certain degree of capacity you derive from being really strong. Like if you're a power lifter and you're one of the strongest people in the world, that will help you in jiu-jitsu, no doubt. But then there's going to be a point at which your joints get bent out of line, and then you're just tapping to inflexibility. In the same way, if somebody is incredibly mobile, incredibly flexible, say they had done gymnastics or dancing and they spent a lot of time doing flexibility and mobility stuff, you can bend them all kinds of inside and out, but they may not have the strength to be able to act against you in terms of being able to control you. Even though you may not be able to really control them or manipulate them because they're so free moving, they won't have the ability to actually work against you. So interestingly enough, the way that we have set the standards, what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to talk you guys through all of our standards. I'm going to explain all 12. So originally we had a couple more. We had like 13 or 14, but we culled it back to this 12. So we released a video a little while ago, which had 13 standards when we were initially working on it. And then through the process of doing workouts and trial and error and experimenting, we were like, no, 12 is key. We've got 6 mobility movements and we've got 6 strength movements. And this is where it gets interesting. So the thing about mobility is this: when you first start, you're just dealing with your own lack of ability to move. But then as you get better, you can develop full range of motion. And then once you develop full range of motion, it's like, well, actually, we can add some load. So you're going through a full range of motion, very flexible. So let's say our example is the Cossack. So more recently, I posted a video on my Instagram of doing a 70-kilo Cossack squat. So essentially, that is the black belt standard for Cossack as a movement. So not only is that does that require a large degree of mobility, it also requires a fair degree of strength. And I'll be honest, like, it was bloody hard. I don't know why I thought it would be easy. I mean, Cossacks are something I've done a long time, but the leg drive that it takes for you to push out of that almost single leg squat position when you're in that low Cossack spot is tough. The quads are working. And I'm telling you, I've been sore for a couple of days after. It just gets so deep into your groin, your quad, your glutes, everything. So here's the funny thing about it. It's not that we've divided the program into, oh, these are stretches and these are strength work. Ultimately, as you progress, the mobility work becomes strength work too. So these workouts become very demanding. And what we've done is we've put them together into like 3 very, I guess, well-rounded training days. So the previous thing that both Joe and I had stuck to is making it so you only have to work out twice a week. And that's pretty easy to accomplish. We're training jiu-jitsu three times a week. You can fit in 2 sessions a week to get stronger. But what we have found is that people are missing out on the mobility. People are just not doing it. I mean, it's like a nice idea. People always say, oh, yeah, I did that thing that you post on Instagram. It's real nice. And then the mobility's crap. And you're like, well, you're not doing it, are you? You are not doing the work, literally. And so people go, I leave it to the end and then I'm running late and I don't do it. Well, that's not good enough. So in our new standards workouts, mobility is a key part of the total workout. If you do not do it, then you are not going to meet the standards. So let me explain. I will elaborate on all the standards. And I reckon I'll post it in the comments. Now, if you guys have some questions, please feel free to put them in the side. Hopefully you've had a look. And I'm just going to start with the first standard and question go. Get up. So this is the first cab off the rank, as we say. Now, we have graded white belt, blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, black belt. Now, everybody starts as a white belt, right? So if you cannot do the white belt standard, well, then that's where you got to stay until you can do it. Now, we have variations within the program in the same way you have stripes with belts. I'm just going off the list here, so I'll be perfectly clear because I don't remember all the percentages off the top of my head. I know all the standards back to front, but if I have a look here, it's a kettlebell Turkish get up with 10% of your body weight, 2 reps on each side. So if you're not familiar with the Turkish get up, it's pretty important in terms of a movement for jiu-jitsu, but 10% of your body weight. If you're an 80-kilo bloke, 8 kilos for a get up for 2 on each side shouldn't be too tough. Now, if you have shoulder injuries or hip problems, it may actually be a struggle to complete the full movement. And therein lies the rub. You start to understand that there are some issues that you need to address before you can progress within the standards program. And the next thing that we will be releasing, which will be early in the new year, will be our rehab coach. So that's going to be a total body approach to doing rehab. And that's going to tick a lot of boxes for everybody. And then working our way through to the blue belt standard for get up, it is 15% of your body weight at 2 reps on each side. Now, doing 1 rep in the get up is like not too tough, depending on how heavy you're lifting. But doing 2 in a row is actually a long time under tension and can really tire you out. So this idea, the reason why we put 2 reps is because it really proves out how strong you are at that weight, at that movement. Then the purple belt standard is 25% of body weight for 2 reps on each side with the Turkish get up. And then we've got brown belt is 35% of body weight, 2 times on each side. And black belt for the kettlebell Turkish get up is 40% of your body weight times 2. So let's say that you are a 60 kilo lady. You need to be able to get 30, maybe if you've got a kettlebell, a 32 kilo kettlebell in your hand, and you need to do 2 reps on each side if you're 60 kilos. Most men cannot do that, right? So it's not as simple as it sounds, guys. We have set the bar really high for black belt because we want it to be almost impossible. Not because we want to give you something to shoot for that you cannot get. It's just that we really want you to know that a high standard is very possible. And once you do get that level, your jiu-jitsu is going to be off the charts in terms of your athleticism for jiu-jitsu. So hope that's clear. That's the get up. I'm talking you guys through percentages. And the next thing we're going to go to is pressing or overhead pressing, even though it incorporates a few different elements. So now, like I said, at any stage, guys, please jump in, type your questions in, hit me up. The press. Now, the press that we chose as we feel the most jiu-jitsu applicable press is the kettlebell bottoms up press. Now, why did we choose this? A lot of people love bench press. A lot of people love a barbell press. Some people like a landmine press, like with the Olympic barbell in the landmine attachment. Why did we pick the bottoms up press? Because it is so grip centric. Now, for some of you out there, if you've never done a bottoms up press, oh my goodness, it is so hard on your grip, on your core, on your shoulder stability, your rotator cuff. Like I'm telling you, if you've never done a bottoms up press before, you're about to get the shock of your life. And so let me quickly talk you through our different percentages, because most people will have picked up a kettlebell and done a normal press. Now, if you've experimented and played around a little bit, you've probably done a palm press where you hold the kettlebell like a shot put and press in that way, which is really challenging too. But the bottoms up press is where you're holding the handle and the kettlebell is sitting up above your hand. And this is particularly tricky. So the white belt standard is 10% of your body weight at 8 reps. Now, 8 reps is actually a fair while. So even though, if you're 80 kilos, that's 8 kilos. It's still a long time for you to be gripping and working. So there's a degree of strength endurance that you need when you first start this movement. Blue belt is 15% of body weight for 5 reps. Sounds easy enough. It isn't. And then we've got 20% of body weight for 10 reps at purple belt. Oh my goodness. That's testing you. It's like, if you're serious about this, you want to get your purple belt in the Bulletproof for BJJ standard system, you better show the hell up. Brown belt is 25% of body weight times 5 reps. Whew. I actually did this the other day, guys. I went through and I did all the standards in one workout. Not a good idea. I did basically 3 or 4 sets of every single movement in the standards program. And I tell you what, it smoked me. I would definitely encourage you to not do that. I'm going to tell you guys how we structure it. And it's not that way. But I unfortunately, I couldn't do the black belt standard, which is 35% of your body weight for 5 reps. I could do 25%. I would actually say I could do 30%. But man, I'm a bit heavy at the moment. I probably need to lose some weight or get much stronger. So that's the thing, guys. It's a crazy movement. If you haven't done the bottoms up press, I definitely encourage you to give it a try. If you don't know what it looks like, we have it included in our video on the standards program, explaining variations on press. And even if you don't go there and you just Google it on YouTube, kettlebell bottoms up press, try it out. It's very tricky. Do not drop the kettlebell on your face. Just saying. All right. So no questions thus far. That's totally cool. Let us have a look at what comes next. So here's the thing. The reason why I think this is so poignant or so important that we're kind of putting this out there now is, we got Christmas. It's Boxing Day right now here in Australia, wherever you are else in the world. I don't know where you're at. It could be Christmas Day. But ideally, we need to be thinking about where we're going next year. And it starts now, really. And this kind of week that we have between now and New Year's, it's a really good time for us to recalibrate and set our sights on the new thing. And this, my friends, is the new thing. This is the new challenge. You might be a blue belt, but you might have like a purple or brown belt level of fitness in terms of strength. But then maybe you have white belt level mobility. That's not good enough, because in the Bulletproof Standards program, you must be able to hold the standard down at every movement to hold the rank of blue, purple, brown, or black. Does that make sense? So for me, I tested all my standards. I am black belt for 5 or 6 across the movements of mobility and strength. And then I'm brown belt at some of the strength and mobility standards. I'm not lower than brown belt. Thank goodness. Helio be praised. But here's the deal. I technically am only a brown belt in the Bulletproof Standards program, because I can't hold down black belt at every single standard. I am technically a brown belt. And that's just what it is, guys. Full disclosure. But you got to keep it real. I've got some stuff I've got to work on. For me, it's more mobility, to be honest. Like across the strength standards, I think only one of them for press I didn't hit. But for everything else, I hit black belt. And then for most of the mobility standards, I'm a brown belt. So it's what it is, guys. You've got to just work on these things. And so I want to encourage you guys to be well-rounded, because the next movement is very challenging. And that is a single leg hinge. Oh my goodness. It's tough, ladies and gentlemen. Now, within the program itself, we have lots of variations. Like I was saying, like when you have stripes on a belt, and you have like 4 stripes to your white belt, we also have certain levels of progression within white belt for certain movements. In the same way, we have, some movements have greater variations. So they might have 6 progressions before you hit the next belt. Whereas others are simpler. It's just you either hit this or you don't, and then you go to the next belt. So you just got to keep chipping away. We will be releasing a lot of content in the next 2 to 3 months, showing you all the accessory work that you can do to make sure you can get through these workouts. Now, single leg hinge. Let's talk about it. We are looking at the aeroplane. Now, the aeroplane is unweighted, arms out to the side, leaning forward. I did do a video on this on our YouTube channel. Go check it out. Go have a look back through the different workouts. It's got me showing the get up. It's got me showing all the major movements in terms of you having unsweepable base. Now, 10 airplanes on each side. That's not too tough, but see how you go. Now, blue belt standard is a kettlebell single leg deadlift with 30% of your body weight for 5 reps on each side. 30% of your body weight. If you're, say, a 60 kilo human, then we're looking at 20 kilos. That's actually pretty challenging. Like 20 kilos in one hand for a single leg deadlift, if you're 60 kilos, that's tough. So even blue belt right now, looking at it, that's a tough way to be. I'll keep it real right now. And then if we're looking at, okay, it's a little bit less than 20 kilos, but you know what I mean. We're looking at kind of 16, 17 kilos. It's still a challenge. Like this isn't as easy as it might first sound. Then when we look at the purple belt standard, it is 50% of body weight times 5 for a single leg deadlift. And that's with a kettlebell. Now, it's not all based around kettlebells, but it does mean that you can work on this stuff at home. And that's one of the key takeaways. We wanted people to be able to train standards from home. Now, let's look at the next piece of the puzzle, brown belt. It gets dramatically harder. Why? Because we want you to do a barbell single leg deadlift. this is a real challenge. For stability with a barbell, it is far harder than a single kettlebell. I'll be 100% honest. I've played with this move for a long time, and we're looking at a single leg deadlift with 80% of your body weight. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Single leg deadlift with 80% of your body weight is tough for 5 reps. It's not like do 1 rep, boom, max rep, it's done. No. If you weigh 100 kilos, you have to do a single leg deadlift with 80 kilos for 5 reps. Is anyone getting that brown belt? I don't know. I can. I've worked on it. So anyway, I mean, it's one of those things, guys. It is a skill. It's going to help your judo. It's going to help your top game. It's going to help your hamstring flexibility. It's going to help you in a lot of ways. But let's talk black belt. Black belt level for single leg hinge is 100% of body weight for 5 reps on each side. Shoo. I am about 90 kilos right now, and I can do it. I did it the other day, and oh my God, my hamstrings and my glutes were screaming. It was tough. But that's the your body weight. For 5 reps on each side of a single leg deadlift, you are an exceptionally strong human. No question. Like basically, when you come to do a 2-legged deadlift, you will be lifting at least double your body weight. Like it's one of those things that the single leg deadlift is far harder than a 2-leg deadlift, like 3 or 4 times harder in terms of balance, stability, the whole piece. All right, my friends, now let's look at move 4. What have we got? We have the upper body pull. That's right. It's built. This is possibly one of the most important movements for jiu-jitsu, if we can say that. Your ability to have big, strong upper body pull is just unparalleled, really. It's the one thing, like other than rock climbing, where you need that intense grip and that intense pull. So what have we started with? We started with horizontal ring rows. That's the white belt standard for the upper body pull. Then you need to be able to do 10, and you need to be horizontal. So horizontal is actually far tougher. Most people do it at like a 45-degree angle, leaning back and pulling. But when your feet are elevated and you're horizontal, it's actually super tough. So even white belt is a tough place to start. So you need to get yourself some rings or a TRX to be able to do that movement if you're messing with it at home. Now, the blue belt standard is a deficit ring row. Oh, that's with your body completely straight. So that's where the feet are elevated and you're actually lower than your feet. That's actually super tough. I actually find that almost tougher than a full pull-up. But anyway, stay with me. Now, if you haven't played with this before, you don't necessarily know what I'm talking about. But let me assure you, as someone who's spent a bit of time playing around with these, they're actually quite tough. Now, if we look at the purple belt standard, we have chin-ups, chest to bar from a dead hang. We need 5 of those bad boys. So this is chin-up, which is supinated grip. Now we're going to go to pull-ups. The brown belt standard is pull-ups, which is the overhand grip, chest to bar for 5. And then the black belt standard is pull-up with 25% of your body weight times 5, chin over the bar. It's not chest to bar, it's chin over the bar with 25% of your body weight. Oh, this is another strength move I didn't get black belt on, I'll be honest. I did get black belt on Cossack, which is the mobility movement, but I couldn't do 25% on top of my body weight. That's the thing. It's I can do it, but it's not clean, right? So I'm not going to tell you guys, oh, I definitely got that, because it's not. Oh, yes. Let me just go to Steve's question. Invested in some kettlebells. Recently invested in some kettlebells and currently in cycle 2 of the Bulletproof Kettlebell program. Fantastic. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, kettlebell program. People are liking it, which is fantastic. If I don't have rings or barbells, can I train from home? You can, definitely. What I'd say is the biggest challenge is if you want to do the standards program, I would encourage you to get some rings or get a TRX. I definitely appreciate that you've made the financial investment to get some kettlebells. Can you get really strong doing rows and pulls with kettlebells? Yes, you can. The reason why we included rings as part of the pull variation is for a lot of people, they can't just do pull-ups. Like a lot of people come into the program and you go, okay, let's do 5 pull-ups. People may not be able to do one single pull-up. How do they build up to being able to do 5. Horizontal rows are absolutely key as a movement. Now, I don't know about you, Steve, but if you're someone who's always struggled to do pull-ups, you have to build up a certain amount of volume through your forearms, your biceps, and your lats through horizontal loading before you go to vertical loading, which is much more challenging. So yes, you can train from home. And yes, you can get really strong doing like heavy kettlebell rows, renegade rows, and all of that. But what I would like to encourage you to do is to either get a TRX or get a set of rings, just because they last forever and you're going to get a lot more value out of them. But see how you go. I think you can get a pair of rings from anywhere between 70 to $100 and they last forever. Or hear me out. If you have a pull-up bar and you can do 5 pull-ups, it's time to get with the pull-ups. That's what I would say. That is my comment to you on how to progress in pulling. Can you get really strong with kettlebells through pulling? You can. But if you want to adhere to the standards program, and this is the standard we are setting, then you either need a pull-up bar or a pair of rings. I hope that helps. Okay, so let's talk about this, guys. Black belt standard for pulling. It's super tough. 25% of your body weight, 5 reps, and it's a pull-up. It's not a chin-up. It's not this, which is actually far easier. It's this. That pronation part makes it way harder. I did give it a crack, guys. So like I said, I'm 90 kilos. So, 25% of my body weight, it's like, what do we say? 17 and a half kilos or whatever it is. 20. My maths is terrible. Forgive me. So it's 9, 27 is 30, 22 and a half kilos. I tried it with 25 kilos. So I tried it with a 25 kilo plate and I could barely get 5. So I got 4 and my 5th rep was garbage. If Joey was watching, he would probably scold me and kick me out of the gym. But whatever, I had a crack, right? Because I've definitely got the brown belt standard. So I can go chest to bar, from a dead hang, 5 reps, no problem. Add 25% on top of that, I'm going to have to work on that, right? And so, like I said, guys, I'm being as transparent as possible for you to understand that even we, as the founders and the designers of this program, we still have things to work on. And we've tried to make it almost impossible to have a black belt standard across all of the standards because we're trying to get you guys aspirational. Anyway, not to worry. Moving right along, what have we got? Next thing's next. We've got trunk. You'd be like, what the hell is trunk? We're talking core. We're talking the midsection, guys. So if you do not actively train the muscles between your ribs and your pelvis, then you're not going to be good at jiu-jitsu. Let's keep it completely honest. If you haven't got the ability to compress strongly, you're going to be crap at jiu-jitsu. Whether you're trying to squeeze to finish something or you're trying to compress to berimbolo or invert, it's super important that you have a strong trunk. The reason why we say trunk is we're not just talking about the muscles at the front, we're talking about the muscles at the back. We're also talking about deeper muscles inside your pelvis. So, guys, let's talk about trunk. The white belt standard for trunk is you need to bring your knees to 90 degrees hanging. So this is a hanging knee raise. So you're hanging on the bar, your knees are at 90 degrees. You need to be able to do 10 of these with no swing. Okay. Now that sounds pretty easy until you try and do it. And a lot of people are swinging left, right, and center. Now, the next step is a straight leg raise to 90 degrees. So once you extend those legs, you're actually going to start using your hip flexors and your quads a lot more. It's actually way tougher, the straight leg raise, than the bent knee raise. Now, the next bit, which is pretty tough, the purple belt standard, is knees to armpits times 10. Now, obviously, it's very tough to bring your knees into your actual armpits, but what we're talking about is being able to tuck your pelvis all the way under and bring your knees right up to at least like towards your chest. So your knees don't have to be in your armpits per se, but 10 reps of that with no swing. The key thing here is no swing. A lot of people do this with a kind of swinging, kipping motion, taking advantage of the elastic nature of their core and their lats, and that's not what we want. We want compression, we want strength, and we want control. Now, the brown belt standard is toes to bar eccentric times 5. So what that means is you bring your knees up, you extend your legs, and you slowly lower your legs down. This is actually far tougher than most people think. So you're doing the knee raise, you're bringing your knees in as tight as you can, extending your legs, toes touching the bar, and then controlling on the way down. No swing. 5 of these is going to smoke you. And then last but not least, the black belt standard for trunk is toes to bar times 10, straight legs, no swing. This, ladies and gentlemen, I did do, and it was tough. I used to do a lot of toes to bar, but I think I used to swing a bit more. But now, since training at Jungle Brothers and working harder on the standards, I know how to keep it strict. I know how to keep a hollow body, keep that nice tuck, and it is far harder. Let me assure you. All right, guys, moving right along. Now, no one's posted any questions. Please feel free, jump into any stage. I want to explain the hell out of this thing so that when people ask, oh, what about the standards? Can you explain the standards? It's right here, plain and simple for everybody to refer to. All right, here's the next move, a favorite. Now, we have gone back and forth on what makes the cut. I feel this movement is so important. Cossack squats. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Cossack squats are probably the ultimate squat other than a pistol, because not only does it incorporate a lot of single leg strength and that asymmetry that you need in jiu-jitsu, like when you do spider guard and or you're doing lasso and you're bending one knee and straightening one leg, which you need for a sweep or to off balance your opponent to try and snare them in a triangle, whatever it might be. The Cossack squat is perfect not only for getting you more flexible, but also getting stronger in the straight leg too, through the hamstring and the adductor muscles. Oh, my guy, Julian, what up? Welcome. Yep. Sorry. So let me read out the question from Julian. people are like, why are you staring at the comments and they're not telling us what you're reading? Julian has said, when followers of the program send in videos to get approval to progress from you guys, do you recommend they send a video of them doing their first or last working set of the movement? No, that's okay. That's a very good question, Julian. Essentially, we just want you to be able to demonstrate one set. So if you just want to warm yourself up and perform that movement perfectly, that's totally fine. We understand that if you're trying to perform multiple sets of a particular exercise, that gradually over time, you will get fatigued and it will start to diminish. But if you have a look at the standard, we've only asked for one set. So as long as you can hold your technique down and do really good technique for that one set and you're crisp and you're controlled, then that's enough for us. We know that there's a big jump between blue belt to purple. In the same way, there's a fair jump from purple to brown, and there's quite a jump from brown to black. So we know that you're going to have to be doing the work and all the volume in between to be able to attain that next level. But that is actually an excellent question. So Julian has actually raised something really important here, guys. In order for you to grade to the next standard, we need you to send us video of you doing it, right? If you actually want to officially get the grade of blue belt or purple belt, we need to see the video of you executing well. And if it's not to standard, you don't get the grade. And we will give you feedback. We're not here to tear you down, guys. We're here to help. But we need to let you know if you've done it well enough or not. And that's the thing. We will be posting more videos of us executing the technique, explaining the finer points of how to really nail it, and then what you need to do to improve to really get it right for yourself so you know exactly where you're at. That's a great question, Julian. Thank you for asking, my man. Man, we're going to be inundated with videos, I sense. I think Joey had said, man, do we need to do that? I'm like, yeah, we need to do this. We need to make sure that everybody's staying on point. So we're going to be doing a lot of video review. We'll be giving you feedback, and we'll be helping all y'all get so much stronger and more flexible. Next thing's next. We're moving right along. Oh, here we go. So this marries up with trunk, guys. This is the next major movement. Forward fold. Now, if you're not familiar with forward fold, you know the movement, which is leaning forward to touch your toes, but that's not good enough. That is far too easy. If you can't lean forward and touch your toes, then we need to be doing some work, but we need to take that a step further. It's not simple enough just for you to have a degree of movement there. We need to be strong there, especially for jiu-jitsu. So the forward fold, as we refer to it, when we start with our white belt level, we've got our stride stance good mornings, which you guys have probably seen before, like staggered stance good mornings or split stance good mornings. And times 10, and that's standing with your knee locked out on the one leg that you're working, and then your other leg is bent. So this is just basic range of motion, working on that. And even when I first started, that was quite challenging just on a flexibility level. Then when we look at the forward fold, fingers to the floor, just touching, but we want 30 seconds. So blue belt standard is both knees locked out. Your fingers must be able to touch the ground, and you need to be able to stay there for 30 seconds. It's not just like, oh, I got it. I'm done. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm out. No, we need you to be able to hold the position and be not comfortable, but we need you to be able to hang there and relax. That's the key. We need you to be able to relax under that pressure, which is just your body and gravity. Because when we're doing jiu-jitsu, it's going to be someone else's body and gravity squashing you. Now, the purple belt standard is forward fold with palms to the ground for 30 seconds. Now, palms to the ground, most people can touch down, but it's pretty tough to stay there and breathe, right? Then we've got Jefferson curl. And this is where we've got you up on a box, you leaning forward, and you're holding a light kettlebell. Now, in terms of starting off, we know that the progression is going to be a light kettlebell building up, but the brown belt standard is a 16 kilo kettlebell, and you need to be able to get your wrists, this point here, holding the kettlebell to your toes. And you need to be able to hold that bottom position with your knees locked out for 30 seconds with a 16 kilo kettlebell. Now, that's not where you start. You would start with a 6 kilo kettlebell, just working your range of motion until you've got the range of motion. Then you build up your time under tension, your breathing, and then you gradually get heavier and you work from there. It takes time, guys, so don't rush this. The Jefferson curl is a very advanced movement. That's why we want you guys to just get familiar with the position on the forward fold and gradually build it up. Stick to the program. Do not skip ahead. The black belt standard, my friends, is Jefferson curl, toes to mid forearm with 16 kilos for 30 seconds. That's tough. Mid forearm, oh my God. Like, that's a lot of range with load under time. I can't hit that. I think Joey can, but that's not me. I'm on the brown belt level there. And 30 seconds destroys me. It burns me up. So I can do wrist to toes for 30 seconds with a 16, but man, I got some work to do. And that's my project right now. Is trying to work on my mobility because that's where I'm flat. And that is what is so good about the standards program, guys. It points out where your deficiencies are. And if you really want to take that next step up, you need to be well-rounded. You've got to work on the things that you're not good at. And that's why we've set this program up. So the next thing, guys, let's have a look. We have it, ladies and gentlemen. The front split. That's right. Front split. We're getting gymnastic. Oh, what up? We're here. Just reading the comment here. Hey, JT, in regards to progressing through some of the standards, would you want us to grade each belt like in JITS, or can you go straight to, say, purple standard? Okay, well, yeah, you test yourself, right? So what's great about the standards program is, let's say you can do white belt and you're good there for pull. Say your upper body pulling strength's really good. And then you work your way up, you do the blue belt. And you're like, oh, I got blue belt, progress. Oh, I got purple belt. Oh my goodness, I'm a brown belt for upper body pulling strength. That's great, right? No problem with that. But if you go to forward fold and you're like, oh man, I can barely touch my toes, I'm like a white belt in forward fold, that's not a problem. But that means that you are not a brown belt in the bulletproof standard system. That's the feedback. So you can work them simultaneously, but that really shines a light to say, hey man, you're a white belt at forward fold, but you're a brown belt in strength, but a white belt in mobility. You really need to work on your mobility. So you need to maybe double down there. Now, the program is spaced out across 3 days. So I'm going to skip ahead here because I'm probably taking a little bit too long here in terms of explaining all the standards. But what I think is important to understand is we need you to do more work. There's more work required. It's not just 2 days a week. If you really want to be bulletproof, you need to be training 3 days a week. Now, we say 3 workouts across 7 to 10 days. So it could carry over into the next week potentially. But what I'd recommend is that you're getting yourself to do these mobility and strength movements 3 times a week. So understand the 3-day split are different moves on each day, different mobility movements, different strength movements. So you're not really doubling up. You are going to be taxed and pushed in different ways, but essentially you are training your whole body in a lot of different ways. There's a lot of really good variety there. So speaking to your question, this is what I'd encourage you to do. The program is alive. This is the cool thing, and this is a new feature that you can press progress if you feel you're ready. You don't have to send us a video, but if you want to be graded, if you're like, yeah, I'm ready and I want to put myself out there to see if I stand up, record all your movements and send them through to us, and then we will be able to grade them and we'll give you the feedback, right? You don't have to wait for us. Like if you're like, yep, I got the chest to bar pull up all day, then progress yourself to the next level. That's not a problem. You can work your deficiencies with your strengths at the same time. So that's the cool thing. The program will progress under your control. It's like choose your own adventure, which is really good. So if you've got something you need more work on, you're going to spend more time working it. And you can take extra time to work on it by doing specific mobility or strength work for it. And we will be putting out the additional accessory work you need to be able to master each standard. That will be coming in the kind of coming weeks and months between now and our next release, which will be the Rehab Coach. So guys, be patient with yourselves. And what I'd say is you definitely can train a higher standard, like a purple belt standard for a particular movement, while at the same time training a white belt standard at something else. But that is information, that is feedback telling you if you're a purple belt at this and you're a white belt at that, you need to put more attention on the white belt. Does that make sense? Let me know. So that's what I wanted to put out there. Excuse me. So let me just quickly get to the next thing, and then I'm going to explain in its totality. The next thing after, so let's look at split. You've got to start with a wall lunge. Like most people do a wall lunge and they die, right? The kneeling wall lunge, like the kneeling wall stretch, is what kills most people. That's a white belt. You've got to be there for, you've got to be able to do that for 45 seconds. That's the white belt standard. Blue belt is wall lunge, shin to wall, and you've got to be there 30 seconds and your back has to be completely straight. Most people struggle to do that. Now, for purple belt, we've got the long lunge hold, and your hips need to be below your front knee for 45 seconds. It's a bit more advanced. So that requires a bit more strength through your legs and your hip flexors. Then the brown belt standard is assisted long wall lunge, and your front leg is straight. So you have to be upright, hips below your front knee, and that's pretty challenging. Then your front split hold, if you've never seen a front split, Google it. No, we'll be posting more content about it. And you need to be able to lift yourself off the ground. So it's not just, oh, okay, I'm resting my back knee on the ground and my front leg is out straight. It has to be an active hold in the front split. And we're going to get into more details around that technique. You need to be able to hold that for 30 seconds with your back straight. That is bloody tough, my friends. I can just do it. It is incredibly hard. And my front split's pretty comfortable. Like I feel like I can hang out there, but to do it actively is a whole nother level. And we're going to be explaining that a lot more in the future. Now, next thing, arms up. So people are thinking, what is arms up? Which is your ability to have your arms above your head. And people struggle with this. So we have a move called the butcher's block, which you may have seen Joey demonstrate. It's definitely on our Instagram, and I think we have a video too on our YouTube. It's where you have the stick behind your head and you bring your elbows up on the block and you're leaning through your armpits. I'll be honest, I really struggle with this one because I've got a lot of lat tightness. For some of you out there, you probably feel it through your shoulders too. It's very challenging. And then the next thing is once you can do the butcher's block for 30 seconds, that's the white belt standard. We have the wall angel press. So you may have seen it where you've got your back against the wall, you're in external rotation, and you're sliding up and down, pressing. You need to be able to maintain the back of your hands and the back of your elbows and your middle back against the wall as you press all the way up and draw all the way down. This is key. If you cannot do 10 clean reps of a wall angel, then you're not getting past blue belt. Just saying. For a lot of people, this is a struggle. This is a BJJ problem. Now, purple belt is an incline press to wall for 30 seconds handstand. So here's the deal. If you may have tried to do a handstand before and you've put your back to the wall and you've kicked up and sat your legs up against the wall, right? And say, hey, I'm doing a handstand. But guys, chest to wall is far harder than it would seem. So what we're looking at is chest to wall handstand for 30 seconds locked out. Now, we've got you on a bit of an incline. So you're taking a little bit more load through your pecs and you don't need as much range through the shoulders, but this is going to help build that mobility as well as that strength. Now, the next step up from that is to do chest to wall handstand 30 seconds. And that's where you are like basically not face to the wall, but there's only like maybe only half a foot or so much space between you and the wall itself. And you got to kind of walk up to the position and keep it straight. This is far harder than it would seem. Chest to wall is way harder as a handstand variation. If you don't have good shoulder mobility and strength and protraction, you're not going to be able to hang out there. And the black belt standard, guys, is chest to wall handstand. And you're pretty much facing the wall. And now we're starting to play with, can you bring your toes off the wall? But really, it's 30 seconds. I would actually say probably a minute. I think we may have upgraded this to a minute, guys. So here's the thing. The program will be altered slightly, but we don't expect everybody to hit black belt standard straight out the gate. But we want to give you something to shoot for. So I think that we may have amended that to a minute. But anyway, I'll come back to you on that. I did 30 seconds the other day. It was pretty easy for me. I don't know. I've played with it a little bit. I thought we were doing 60 seconds, but I have 30 seconds. Anyway, I'll get some clarity around that. Now, we're almost there, guys, because here is the next thing. And this is squats. Boom. So one of the most important movements that you need within jiu-jitsu is a squat. Now, what did we choose? We chose the pistol. Now, we're always banging on about the pistol because it tests your ankle range, it tests your hips, and it really tests your knee stability as well as your core stability. So the first thing is we need you to be able to do the white belt standard, which is a pistol to a low box of 10 reps. So when we say low box, we're talking 30 centimeters, which is below knee height. If 30 centimeters is your knee height, then, you probably need to fight Hezbollah, the midget guy from Kazakhstan. I think he's from Kazakhstan. That's very culturally insensitive for me to say that. I think he could be from Dagestan. He's Russian. I don't know. You know who I'm talking about. The guy with a funny voice, Hezbollah. Anyway, don't worry about it. 30 centimeter box, low box. 50 centimeters is too high. Normal sitting height is too easy. So if you can't go to 30 centimeters, you are not a white belt, my friends. Understand this. The blue belt standard is a shrimp squat times 5. So a shrimp squat is a great variation to help build up your pistol. And this is really going to test your quad drive as well as your glutes. So, and a little bit range of motion through the hips. Then so you need to be able to do 5 shrimp squats cleanly on each side. Then we've got our purple belt standard, which is pistol squat times 5 reps. And this, you have to get your hip below your knee, but there's no box. So you have nothing to rest on. You have to stabilize. This is the key. But we don't want you, the key thing is don't fall on your ass, right? If you're falling on your ass, then this is telling us your ankle mobility sucks. So you've got to make sure that you're working on your ankle mobility as well. Brown belt standard, weighted pistol, which is 20% of your body weight for 5 reps on each leg. Now you can use a weight plate, you can use a kettlebell, you can use whatever you like, but you have to get your hip below your knee for 5 reps on each side at 20% of your body weight. So if you're an 80 kilo human, that's going to be 16 kilos. If you're a 60 kilo human, it's going to be 12 kilos. So whether you're holding a kettlebell or some plates or whatever you like, we have to load up the pistol. The black belt standard, my friends, is 30% of body weight times 5. And that is a full pistol. That is ass to grass all the way back up. That is not like, oh, my hip's below 90. No, we got to see that hamstring hit that calf muscle and come back up. That's the challenge, my friends. 30% of body weight. I hit it the other day and I nearly got quad cramped. It was intense. I haven't done weighted pistols for a while. I do pistols pretty regularly, just bodyweight pistols as part of accessory work for my training in general. But man, When you got 16 kilo, when you got two 16 kilos, like 16 kilo in this hand, 60 kilo in this hand, oh my God, man. Like, trust me, it's more challenging than it would even seem. So, my friends, I'm going to move right along. I don't want to belabor the point. We got two more. We have arms back. Feel like arms back. What does that even mean? I put it in all caps. Why not? I know what I'm saying. Arms back. You can hear me yelling from here. So, arms back, guys, we are talking about your ability to open up through your shoulders. So, this is going to be tough. So, we're starting first of all with the hanging cobra on the knees. So, hanging cobra is a full opening up of the shoulder. And this is really, no. Sorry. Trunk. It's back bend. What am I talking about? Arms back. I apologize. Arms back. Box German hang. I skipped ahead. Back bend is last, but we'll get there. So here's the deal, guys. Arms back is all about stretching out through your shoulder. So we're actually working up to a skin the cat. If you've ever seen a skin the cat, you might have even done it as a kid where you hang on a bar and you roll through and you're hanging with your arms all the way back and you roll all the way back through. It's a great move. And it's particularly challenging if you're tight through the front of the shoulders. We start with a box German hang for 30 seconds and your arms need to be horizontal. This is particularly challenging. I actually find for most jiu-jitsu people, this is tough. When I first started doing the box German hang, it was actually pretty brutal, but I definitely want you guys to try it out. 30 seconds for the white belt standard. Blue belt, assisted German hang, where this is where we have the feet on the floor, but they're more floating. So we're putting more weight back into the arms. So there's more load. This is far harder to do through a stretch position and keep your arms straight. Now, next step, purple belt. German hang on the rings and shoulders should be turned out, hips below shoulder height. So on the rings, you actually have to kind of stabilize a little bit because it feels like it's going to move away on you. And this is actually where it gets way tougher. And I think this is the thing that most people underestimate. When you start to play with the rings, the stability element through the shoulders is incredible. Number 4, or like level 4, we're going to say brown belt level. Brown belt standard is skin the cat on rings times 3 reps. And your shoulders should be completely turned out. Your hips are at shoulder height. So when you're turning back around, we want to get your hips in line with your shoulders when you're kind of inverted. But then the black belt standard is skin the cat on the rings 5 times and your shoulders turned out. Your hips need to be below your shoulder height. You need to be all the way through. And if anything, you should be almost vertical in line with your arms and then be able to draw back through. So not only does this require huge shoulder mobility, but huge strength. And ladies and gentlemen, I will not keep it from you any longer. Last but not least is backbend. So this is the place where I suck. I'll be completely honest. This is possibly one of my worst positions. Over the years, I've really built up my strength, but as I've built up my strength, I have built up a degree of immobility, and it is in extension. I am way better flexed, and I'm always flexed. No, it's not true. I do train extension, but the amount of extension required through the shoulder and through the hip for backbend is extreme. So our white belt standard is hanging cobra on knees. So this does require a set of rings or a bar set at the right height for you to be able to hang and then be able to relax through a full range of motion. Then we have, that's a 45 degrees. Then hanging cobra at 90 degrees, that's on the toes for 45 seconds. So when we say 90 degrees now, we're looking for you to have your arms and your torso in line. So you're almost at a 90-degree angle like that. It's actually super tough. So being able to hang there, like getting into that position is tough, but then also staying there is tougher again. So I think for a lot of people, white and blue belt is already super tough. Now, where am I at? Yeah, I'm brown belt standard on this. I was playing around with this. I felt it afterwards for sure. The purple belt standard is a hollow back handstand to the wall for 30 seconds. Now I can hold this, but I have to work really hard through my shoulders to push out. So this is where you are a considerable distance from the wall. You kick over, so your feet are all the way over and you are leaning out. So it's like a big hollow back motion, and you're trying to keep your armpits over your hands and lean your head through. This is very tough. 30 seconds in this position will challenge you. It'll make you feel like your face is going to explode. Now, then we're going to actual back bend, like back bridge, and we're going elevated bridge for 30 seconds, elbows locked out. So your feet are elevated on a step and you're pressing out into a back bend, and you need to hold that for 30 seconds. You need to make sure that you're trying to bring your armpits over your hands. This is where I struggle. I can do this, but I'm not particularly good. So yeah, I'm brown belt level on this one too. Then is just a back bridge, guys. 30 seconds, shoulders on top of hands, nice and clean. Press it out, hold it for 30 seconds. This is tough. So, my friends, there it is. They are all of the standards, and they are incredibly demanding. Like I said, the other day, I put myself through all of the standards, which I probably shouldn't have done. I did it all in one workout. It took me like bloody an hour and 45 minutes, and it smoked me. We have broken it up into 3 definite workouts with a certain amount of mobility work, a certain amount of strength work, and a certain amount of accessory work within it. And we want you to do it all. We don't want you to skip any steps. This is the problem. We are adults, guys, but some of you are not eating your vegetables. We need you to get your mobility in with your strength work. They are a complement. And once you actually get more mobile, we can start to load it up and get you crazy strong in crazy positions, like the Cossack, like the backbend, like the skin the cat, like the handstand. All these things require mobility, but then once you're really good at them, you can get super strong there. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Now, if there's any more questions, I'm going to hang in here for another minute or so. I appreciate that it is the Christmas time, the holidays. You should be with your family. You should be chilling. You should be, playing with your toys, whatever they might be. A Nintendo Switch, maybe it's some new makeup accessories, whatever it is, having a good time. But I am very grateful for you guys tuning in today. And I'm excited to get deeper into this system, which is the Bulletproof Standards program. What we're doing is we are trying to set the state of the art. That is what we are doing. Don't worry about any BS that came before. This is the real. This is the best of flexibility, the best of strength, and the best thing that is going to get you athletic as for jiu-jitsu. We're not messing around, guys. We've tested ourselves. We have been experimenting with this. I mean, it's taken us more than a year to really get it together. And then Joe's been testing it with his small group. I was working on it with my group, as well as us going back and forth on our own training as to what gave us the best result. And that's what this is. Now, what we have released is the beta. So the technology side of things is still a little buggy. So please bear with us. We didn't want to let you guys wait any longer. We wanted to get your feedback. So we'd love to get your feedback through the Facebook community page. If you're not on Facebook, you can email us directly, info@bulletproofforbjj.com. Let us know what you think. Look, constructive feedback is always helpful, right? Like if something's buggy and it sucks, please let us know. But just saying, oh, this sucks or that's crap, it doesn't help us. I mean, yes, we will fix it. I promise you that we will fix it. We now have full-time IT support. So I believe the email is support@bulletproofforbjj.com. If you have bulletproofforbjj.com. If you have any problems with your account, if you have any glitches in trying to access the program or anything like that, you can go to support@bulletproofforbjj.com, and we will always have someone there who will sort you out. So we are trying to upgrade our service all the time, guys. And we want to make sure, yes, any suggestions for shoulder subluxation strengthening exercises? Yes, there's so many things that we can do to help strengthen the shoulder collar. So I'm not going to get into that this very moment. That is a great question. Basically, one of the biggest problems with shoulder subluxation is it's like if you don't do what you need to do to help get the shoulder better at retraction, which is just sucking the arm into the joint, then it's more likely to happen again. And every time you do it, it's more likely to happen again. So we want to really get onto that ASAP. Now, we do have a few videos on how you can strengthen and also mobilize through the shoulder. One of the best moves you can do is an active hang, or what we refer to as a scat pull. So I'll leave you with this quick note. So for you, Cole, hands up. If we think that you're hanging from a bar, drawing down through your armpits, through your scaps, is one of the best movements you can do to help strengthen the supporting musculature of your shoulder blade. Also, doing any kind of horizontal rowing action, whether it's a renegade row, kettlebell row, a dumbbell, horizontal row, any kind of horizontal rowing action is going to be great for stabilizing the shoulder. That's a bit general, but I hope that helps. We will be releasing our rehab coaching section of the website in the next 2 to 3 months. We've already put the program together. We will be filming the content. And then when we get questions like this, like from you, Kyle, you're like, oh, my shoulder's been subluxing. We can point you to the exact program that is going to fix that problem for you. We have the knowledge. We have the programs. We've been giving them to people for years. We're now trying to put it into a format so you can access it and use it to solve these problems. So thank you, my friends. I hope you had a great holidays. I'm excited for what's coming in the future, and definitely looking forward to what you guys do with the standards. So like I said before, if you think you're good to do the blue belt standard or do the purple belt standard, go for it. But if you want us to sign off on grading you for a belt level, like you want to be purple belt level, then you need to be able to film each movement for the required sets, reps, and weight at your body weight for us to be able to say, yes, we clear you on that. Now, that's the thing. Also need you to send in send us a photo with your video of you standing on the scales to show us your body weight, to make sure the weight you're lifting is actually proportionate to your body weight. That's important. All right, my friends. Thank you so much. I want you to stay healthy, stay active, and between now and when I see you next, stay bulletproof.